Life isn't fair, but why the hell should it be?
We are the happy headers, and I actually agree with you for once.
Woo!
Just for once.
No way.
I think we
Miracle.
are conditioned with this expectation that life should be fair. And it isn't, and it shouldn't have to be. But where did that attitude, where did that expectation come from?
Well, like when we are children, what's the first thing you're taught? Oh no, don't do that, that's not fair. Or sharing is caring, you know. We're taught all these moral guidelines as children growing up about what's fair and what's not fair. But everybody's assertion of fairness is different.
Yeah. But you see, it's almost like, you know, do the good things and you get nice, good results.
Yeah.
And you get, you know, rewarded. And if you do good things and bad things happen to you, that doesn't make sense.
It's a complete contradiction, causes confusion.
We don't accept that.
Trauma, all sort of things. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to us then, because when we're in the black and white state of mind, when we're young children, we're thinking in a very linear fashion, like we're thinking like, you know, good and bad, and that's it. There's no grey area between that. So Mummy says.
Do you think it also comes from religion? That we are indoctrinated into this thing that the good guys go to heaven and the bad guys go to hell. So it's fair if you live a good life, even though you've had challenges and everything, that you'll get the reward at the end. And I think people buy into that because they like the idea of that.
But it's about being part of something then. It goes deeper, doesn't it? You know, we all feel the need to be a part of something. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's nearly in line with the instinctual stuff that you talk about here.
Go on. I'm glad you have this on camera. Go on.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Strength in numbers, Paul. Listen, it's good for survival, like if we have, you know, common people to be around.
There you go. We are basically animals.
I'm not quite admitting that. But however,
I mentioned this in the previous video, and it was something I think I did see on YouTube. It was talking about the way the film industry has been, especially American media, because we got a lot of that growing up, because there was no Irish film industry really as such, and even films about Ireland were made in the United States and all. That it was actually, there was rules in place that stipulated that the good guy had to win out in the end of the film.
Yes, and there was always a bad Russian.
There was always a bad guy, and he seemed to do well for a little while in the middle of the film, and then he got his comeuppance because he was bad.
Bad, yeah. But that's not reality at all.
It isn't reality, but we expected it, you see. And every film, and even now, and this is why I don't watch a whole lot of cinema, with, I like kind of quirky films, but if you can, if you know, like, okay, there's the guy here, he's a good guy, something bad happens to him, and then he tries to get justice for it, and things don't go his way, and then he's a friend who helps him, and then in the end he wins and he goes off into the sunset. I hate films that are so predictable like that, and the plot of a lot of films is basically that.
Yes, but it's annoying to us if he doesn't win in the end. You know,
but this is what I like about Game of Thrones.
Unjustified.
Have you watched Game of Thrones?
No, I haven't.
Watch Game of Thrones.
No way.
Because in Game of Thrones there is no fairness, and it's refreshing. It's so refreshing. You've got the good guy.
Are you telling me that because it's going to annoy me, Paul?
No, I think you'll get into it. I think you'll really get into it. A lot of you have watched Game of Thrones, and one of the things I loved about it when I started watching it at the start, there was this actor. I can't remember his name, but he's a famous actor. And I think, oh right, okay. And the king says to him, "I want you to come back to the kingdom and get everybody in order. There's rumours of rebellion against me, and you're like, yes, to go back." So he goes back to the kingdom, and he's all going, and he gets killed, and the king gets killed, and he chops off his head and puts it on a kind of a pike there in the city for everybody to see. And it's a recurring theme in the thing. I'm not saying it's predictable, but there's big name stars, and they all get killed.
Jesus, so you're definitely not expecting that anyway. And the rage then, because you love some of them big name stars. You go, I love this guy, he's brilliant.
Curious, because the whole thing about Game of Thrones is who's going to be on the throne at the end.
Oh,
so you see these guys and women with massive armies, and get the whole movement seems to be behind them. You think, they're definitely going to murder. And next thing, whoop, they're all dead.
Jesus.
You know, right, okay, so it wasn't them.
Oh my God.
But don't we believe in this thing called karma?
So that really karma, yeah. So what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
And I do kind of believe in that myself. I feel, and I don't know whether it's from my conditioning as a child as well. You know, if you do bad things, bad things will happen.
I think you notice karma. You don't notice when it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think that's also very true. You know, you're kind of attuned to it. You're thinking, well, that's after happening now because, you know, I wasn't good. But the older I'm getting and the more I begin to study the philosophy behind these things, I can see where, you know, a lot of bad things that happen to us aren't actually bad. They're just learning experiences, and they do actually help us to grow and achieve, you know, greater things in the future, you know, if we learn from it,
But we learn primarily from our parents when we're small, whether we mean to or not, whether it's a good thing or not. Because one of the things I learned growing up was that life wasn't fair, and my father was something he used to be always going on about.
Yeah.
That, you know, the poor people, the worker, the ordinary guy was on the bottom, and the rich guy, the bosses, they had all the money, and you had to fight them, and you had to. And I was very strongly kind of trade unionised, especially in my first job.
They were
the rights
on
of the workers and all of this. Not realising that when I became a business person myself, they kind of go, hold on a minute, I put a huge amount of work into building up my business.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I get the rewards from it? And somebody who works for me, well, kind of, why should they take a big chunk of stuff? Surely I just treat them well, pay them for what they do. But they're not entitled to like a percentage of the profits unless we kind of agree something like that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Again, I grew up for years and years and years thinking that people who had money, they got it because they weren't fair.
Yeah,
they weren't good people.
Yeah, that it was bad to be rich, and you know that there was something wrong with it, or you were a bad person, or you were cruel if you managed to be rich. I think that's a paradigm that's very hard to shake off. You know, it's nearly like the minute you start to become wealthy, it's, oh God, burning a hole in your pocket type philosophy, you know, where you start spending it.
You're trying to get rid of the money.
Yeah, I shouldn't have this. I'm not entitled to it.
It's fitting into that prehistoric community that you mentioned a while ago, that you want to be on the same level as your peers. You don't want to be the one with all the money.
You don't want to stand out.
Yeah, because then they don't like you.
Yeah, because people don't like you when you're rich sometimes, and they get like all the friends that you have that are not moving in the same direction as you begin to fall away.
Yeah,
because they don't want you. Oh, is the car not good enough for you? Is it not?
Yeah.
You have to get a new one. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, she said, well, what are you doing with that big house? Your ESB bill must be huge. There's always a negative spin on it, isn't there?
There's always a negative. Yes.
So, sure, what the fuck would you need with that? Sorry, I cursed.
You're grand. Our sense of fairness then is part of our conditioning.
Yeah.
And if you find that you have this belief running in the background of your mind, ask yourself, how is this serving me? Is it actually doing me any favours at this point in my life?
Yeah.
Or do I need to throw it out and change it? And you can.
Yeah, let's do it. Comment down below.
We're the Happy Headers. Like us, subscribe to us, and we'll talk to you soon.